Hey, yo, sorry about the background noise in the last video. If you guys want me to make another one detailing some of the intricacies of the 30-minute pivot, where and when to apply it, um, I guess just let me know if I get one comment. I'll do it. I wanted to cover something here on this Rocket Lab that I've been thinking about. I'm going to reply to a message that I sent about the oops reversal, and with undercuts being and pullbacks into support being a very key aspect of my trading strategy. It's really important to internalize where that invalidation point is. Okay, so this was an oops reversal on Monday 5-4, right? We opened lower than the previous day's close. The low is lower than the previous day's low. We reclaim previous day's low. We reclaim the opening price of today, and then we reclaim the previous close. Go red to green. Okay, so that's the steps of an oops reversal. The next step is get through that 50% retrace of the previous candle. If you guys remember, that was 81 that day. And then the next step, right, is the engulfing. Okay, so this is essentially kind of like the first area that you look for. The oops to go to. You look for it to go red to green, get through the 50%, and then engulf, and then you can see if it turns into a nice winning trade. And usually we're watching some good moving stocks, and that's often the case. With this, the invalidation is what's so important, right? The stop is well, if we break the low of day, then that is actually not an oops reversal, marking a higher low or the bottom of a base where it's about to accelerate from. Okay. So I sent a message out as soon as we kind of got through the red to green spot, as soon as we got through the 50% retrace, that, hey, Rocket Lab is going to engulf. I know they had earnings coming up, and then we had this next day where we gapped up. I'm like, oh, sweet, like we're going to go break out. And then we ended up pulling back in, really aggressively, and came back down below my entry at that point. And, I ended up stopping out that day. And the next day I ended up buying again, right? We gapped up higher and ended up pushing. Look at what we finally did. We never actually broke the previous day's low any of these days. So my trade was never invalidated. The thesis was never invalidated. And, sure enough, Wednesday, 2 days before earnings, we're up at 85, breaking over this range. I thought we were good to go. Next day, right, we gap up and come back down. Again, not invalidating that oops reversal day that marked the low. Granted, it wasn't to earnings, so there was obviously some inherent risk involved, yada, yada, yada with the trade. But I just wanted to kind of highlight just how sometimes specific and tight that area of invalidation, that level in which the trade is no longer valid, right, which should be your stop price rather than just a comfortable amount to risk to. And that's how we're able to get very, 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 very tight entries, right? I mean, you can get into this trade with $1 of risk. You can get into this trade with $2 of risk, wherever you want to buy it, and it never breaks that invalidation point. And then of course on earnings it goes 107, next day 120, inside day, and then up today near 130. And people often ask, like, what's the trigger for the oops reversal? There's some kids in the background, I don't know whose they are. People always asking what's the trigger for the oops reversal, and again, I want to kind of minimize that thought process. People always talk about that. What's the trigger? What's the entry tactic and stuff like that? And I really want people to shift their mindset to a risk first mentality. Be a risk manager. And if you're a risk manager, you should be thinking about not what triggers momentum and upside, right? That is important for speed, but our stock selection and our timing and the market conditions reflect that momentum capabilities already. Okay, so I want you guys to think less about the trigger of what can ignite the trade, and more about what can invalidate it. And that doesn't mean you're sitting in something that's completely sideways. You can have a time stop, right? But I just wanted to highlight this as a very unique example of why that invalidation point is so critical.